Then comes this very, very important topic for your GS paper 2, GS paper 4, code of conduct. Very simple, very straightforward, code of conduct versus code of ethics. बट यहाँ पे एक दो पॉइंट्स हैं जो आपको लिखने ही लिखने हैं अपने पेपर में. So what is this code of conduct versus what is code of ethics? This is written. This is written, while code of ethics is not written. Then code of conduct is a specific mentioning of certain do's and don'ts. Certain do's and don'ts, right? While code of ethics is generic in nature, it prescribes values, etc., and it has not been written anywhere. Which particular rules prescribe these code of conduct? Two important rules are there, which you guys are aspiring to. Civil Services Conduct Rules and All India Services Conduct Rules. One is of 1964, other is of 1968. These two rules, 1964 and 1968 handouts में आपके mentioned है, prescribe for the code of conduct. This code of conduct has some very specific rules, but has some very ambiguous rules as well. Specific rules में जैसे लिखा हुआ है regarding dowry, that civil servants are specifically, they cannot receive dowry in any form. ठीक है? What is the minimum amount they can receive via gifts, etc.? That is also mentioned. That is around rupees 25,000. Above that, they have to report to the government in written form. कहाँ से आया है, कितना आया है, क्यों आया है, etc. ठीक है? So these are certain very specific, but there are certain very ambiguous things also which are written in case of these conduct rules, while COE has not been mentioned only. This is also kind of a negative commandment that you can only do this or you cannot do this, but this is a kind of a positive commandment that it prescribes you to follow these ethical values like neutrality, impartiality, etc. So एक positive terminology में है, while this is in form of a restriction code of conduct, but not the case of COE.
There is also a rule like this, that if you receive anything above 25,000, you'll have to deposit it in the fund, either the state fund or something like that.
नहीं, आपको गवर्नमेंट को इंटीमेट करना है. Obviously you can receive at the time of weddings, etc. You can receive much bigger gifts than those. Then you have to report it. You have to report it to the government. ठीक है? So these are the two rules, 1968 All India Services versus Central Civil Services Conduct Rules. ठीक है? ये दो चीज़ें आपको mention करनी है. Furthermore, these were adopted in 1955 and ultimately they were bifurcated into two, and now specific regulations were made, and time and again central government keeps on making amendments into these rules. Norms change होते रहते हैं. So 25,000 earlier had a lesser limit, now this limit has increased further, and these are few prescriptions under the 1968 All India Services rules: integrity, honesty, political neutrality, courtesy, good behavior, etc. All of these you can point out in case of your ethics answers. नहीं भी याद हो तो खुद अपने मन से भी कुछ तो बना सकते हो, right? Difference between code of conduct and code of ethics. Here this is highlighted. Main आपको यही लिखना है about these rules, maintaining integrity, etc. And this is enforceable, while code of ethics is not enforceable, obviously, since it's not written. It's not a statute. This is a statutory code of conduct. And again, this Ministry of Personnel, they had prescribed this public service bill, which prescribes a set of generic standards of civil servants known as values. So this can actually formulate a code of ethics. So if you have to write a way forward in COC versus COE, how can we actually, and sorry, this is not a statutory rule है, ये statute नहीं है, ठीक है? तो अगर ये public service bill adopt हो जाता, this would have actually framed a code of ethics wherein all of these points could have been accepted. So COE would also have been formed. This you can write in your way forward in your GS paper 2, GS paper 4. ठीक है, apolitical functioning, so एक type से impartiality ही है. Also you need to understand the basic differences between neutrality and impartiality. Very similar words. Neutrality, impartiality and क्या mention करा मैंने? Neutrality, impartiality ही mention करा. What's the difference between these? जैसे code of conduct is asking about neutrality. नहीं ऐसा नहीं है. एक आप ऐसे लो, अपने सीनियर्स और जूनियर्स को लेके ले लो, ठीक है, और whom you are taking command from and whom you are giving services to. You are taking commands from your seniors or your political executive. Permanent executive is taking orders from the temporary executive, that is politician. So you have to maintain your neutrality towards them. When you're executing, when you're implementing any kind of service, you need to maintain neutrality towards them. But when you're imparting services to the public, you need to maintain impartiality towards them. तो एक common linkage होगा. Ethics में भी marks लाना is becoming very difficult. तो do understand the nitty-gritties और basic differences between. बहुत आपको high level definition नहीं याद करनी है, अपनी खुद की definition भी लिख सकते हो, but at least conceptual clarity should be there. And then obviously flooded with multiple examples. Issues with these rules. So these are vague, or some are very specific, some are very vague. Specific हमने बात करी. Some are vague that maintain absolute integrity and devotion to duty without engaging in any behavior unbecoming of a civil servant. Now who will codify that? कि क्या unbecoming है, or what is this absolute integrity, right? So this is quite vague, but this one is quite specific, that you cannot secure employment for family members with private organization or NGO, very specific. Furthermore, restriction on political affiliation and expression of opinion. You cannot be critical of the government's policies because you are also part of government only. You cannot be critical of them. Prohibits civil servants from being members of political parties. Only after resigning, they can become a member of a political party. Prohibition on dowry, that's there. Amendments and updates, time and again, they have been there. Coverage and penalties, they are also covered under Prevention of Corruption Act. So it also complements the COC, Code of Conduct. Challenges in enforcement. Challenges enforcement में ये होता है that very difficult to pinpoint. There are so many things, there are so many, अगर cash based transaction is taking place, that can be an issue, right? Reporting and complaints with proper details also are necessary in order to take any action. Furthermore, there are multiplicity of bodies. कहीं CVC आ जाता है, कहीं CIC आ जाता है, कहीं ED आ जाता है, CBI आ जाता है. There are multiple plethora of bodies which come into picture, and CVC, ED, they are also basically fighting against each other कि civil services के against कौन charges लगाएगा. Then there's the body of Lokpal as well. Multiple such bodies have been created for looking specifically after corruption, for specifically looking after conduct. So which case will go to which particular body, that also is an issue. So now we are at debate over fortified rice. So fortification, this is a simple process via which you want to increase the nutritional efficiency of any particular food item. जैसे fortification of rice, you incorporate it in certain vitamins like vitamin A, or you incorporate it in folic acid. तो कुछ आप components increase कर सकते हो, and this can easily tackle malnutrition. This fortification of rice is an easy way of addressing the issue of malnutrition. तो अगर malnutrition पे question आता है, then you can talk about fortification of rice. You can talk about technology, addressing malnutrition via multiple ways, socio-economic ways, political ways. You give the political power to women. They can make better policies for women-oriented or children-oriented issues. You can talk about technology. टेक्नोलॉजी में आप fortified rice यूज़ कर सकते हो, GM crops you can talk about. And fortification can be an easy way because fortification of food only requires 1 to 2% of increase in budget, but it has manifold effect, manifold positive effect. Positive effect क्योंकि nutrition deficiencies are also a kind of a silent epidemic. जो vitamin D deficiency है, this is a kind of a silent epidemic because vitamin D deficiency can lead to multiple such failures of muscular systems as well. आपको muscular tics होने लग सकते हैं, anxiety, depression. Winter depression is kind of a phenomenon which is seen in Scandinavian countries, Norway, etc. regions में, Arctic region में. Winter depression, even in case of US, UK, etc. When winter comes, sun doesn't come, vitamin D level drops. This leads to mood disorders also. And when the time of spring comes, automatically people's mood, etc. gets normal, not exactly in the as same in the kind of winters. Winters में आप अपना भी देख लेना, study output, etc. might be decreased if you're not taking regular or you're not doing regular activities in sun. So vitamin D could be a silent epidemic. Similarly, vitamin A, multiple deficiencies can lead to multiple such diseases. So fortification of rice, that's how can tackle this issue of malnutrition, can reinforce our commitment under Poshan Abhiyan, can reinforce our commitment under midday meal school. क्योंकि अब मिड डे मील स्कूल में भी अब गवर्नमेंट इनिशिएटिव्स के अंडर भी फॉलिक एसिड टैबलेट्स आर प्रोवाइडेड, ब्लू टैबलेट, ग्रीन पिंक टैबलेट, दीज आर प्रोवाइडेड, तो अलग अलग न्यूट्रिशन बेनिफिट्स के थ्रू, राइट? सो कैन सब्सटैंशिएट वेलफेयर स्कीम्स एज वेल. And this fortification is easy that you can directly sprinkle this powder or this vitamin infused powder on your food stock, जैसे rice हो गया, and then it can easily take care of the masses. But there are certain negatives also with fortification of rice. तो pros and cons हमें देखने हैं. What are the pros? One is malnutrition tackling without much change. So without altering taste, etc., you can take care of this. What could be the con? What could be the disadvantage? Excess amount, and especially it can be detrimental to health or it can be life-threatening because in sickle cell anemia, in malaria, iron levels are way more than required. And if you're providing fortified food via these schemes like PDS scheme हो गया, MDM, etc., you can actually lead to mass deaths also of these people. So it is very important to see कि regulated quantities में है या नहीं. You also cannot take these vitamin D, vitamin A tablets on your own. This needs to be prescribed by your doctor after checking your blood levels, etc. So specific nutrients, iron, vitamins, minerals, all of them can be included via food fortification. Minerals में zinc, calcium, etc. will come. This can also be an easy question in case of pre. That what all things can be infused. Iron, vitamins A, B, A, D, E, K, MADEC, etc. Everything can be infused. Need for fortification. So NFHS has already highlighted this. 57% of women in 15 to 49 age group are deficient in iron. Now this is one data set. Women के अंदर mention कर लो, utilize it at multiple points. Moreover, studies have shown that about a fifth of children who do not have access to nutritious and diversified diet suffer from vitamin A deficiency. And then it leads to a vicious cycle. Malnutrition leads to poor development of children, poor psychophysical growth, low employment prospects. Low employment prospects ही नहीं, but reproductive health also suffers. Reproductive health of women, if suffers, completely leads to a vicious circle of poverty of a next future generation as well, right? तो multiple flow charts also यहाँ पे आप बना सकते हो. Just because of a simple nutritional deficiency, imagine. Advantages offered: health, taste, nutrition, economy, society. Pestle approach के साथ में आप generate कर सकते हो points. Issues with fortified food, that this is against nature. bioavailability, that is availability of nutrient per unit, that decreases. Vitamin A, if it's available, or any kind of nutritional element, if it's available naturally, uski bioavailability or the ability of your body to absorb that nutrient will be way more in the natural product than that of these manufactured products. Bioavailability will decrease. Immunity issues could be there. Certain human bodies will react adversely to it. Overnutrition in case of certain diseases like malaria, sickle cell, anemia. Possible health hazard हो सकता है, right? TB patients are unable to absorb iron, while these diseases excess iron is there. Ministry's justification of fortified rice. So recently there have been questions on this, that is it the right strategy to tackle malnutrition or not. So justification is that this has led to reduction in prevalence of anemia, and furthermore studies are required. So R&D in infrastructure, creation of labs, etc., this will take care of this. The first two topics are interrelated only. Both talk about Antarctic sea melting. So why is that? Antarctic sea ice cover is at a record low right now. This highlighted portion was the earlier recorded ice area, but now this has decreased. Also, the western part has suffered more decrease as compared to the eastern part in case of Antarctic. And the same thing is happening for Arctic as well, wherein IPCC has very concretely said that by 2050, by the middle of the century, ice cover is going to be completely lost in case of Arctic Ocean, at least once. At least by September के time पे अभी उन्होंने कुछ कहा है, around mid-century. So this is a topic from which multiple prelims questions can arise. May's question can also come, that what could be the immediate threats of immediate or long-lasting, long-term threats of melting ice cover. 2020 में पूछ चुके हैं ये, ग्लेशियर मेल्टिंग के बारे में पूछ चुके हैं 2020 में. Similarly, they can ask about this also. What are going to be the repercussions of ice melting? Sea level rising, then ecosystem, threat to biodiversity, right? Threat to biodiversity, अब यहाँ पे आपको थोड़ा specific होना है. Threat to biodiversity आपने लिख दिया. Threat to biodiversity also of the benthic species. Not only क्योंकि यहाँ पे pH, salinity levels, etc. everything is getting disturbed. So phytoplanktons, zooplankton species, coral reefs, etc. everything is going to, वहाँ पे specifically you'll have to mention. Then albedo effect, very important. Albedo effect will be increased, will be decreased. Albedo effect is the reflection of sunlight. So since ice reflects, it will decrease the albedo. And this is going to be a feedback system. आपके content में आगे लिखा है positive feedback system. अगर pre में आपको positive feedback सोचेंगे तो you'll think कि कुछ अच्छी चीज़ हो रही है, positive हो रहा है, but no, this is a positive feedback loop in which ice melting, this is leading to decreased albedo, which is leading to increased global warming, increased heat and global warming, which is further leading to sea melting. So this is a positive feedback loop system which is happening. और क्या changes होंगे? बहुत specific अगर GS1 में आ गया, अब easily marks नहीं आते. What will you write? Ocean currents you will have to write about, right? Sea melting will lead to large influx of such pristine water. Salinity changes will take place. Salinity changes, temperature change will take place. Obviously, it is going to affect ocean currents. Ocean currents होते ही हैं because of salinity and temperature changes, right? Impact climate further. Ocean to atmosphere circulation will get impacted, right? Climate change further. So multiple such impacts you can write about. Global sea level rise, disruption ecosystem, increased warming, changes ocean circulation, release of stored carbon, very important, especially in case of Arctic Ocean. And this does not have a एनवायरमेंट का क्वेश्चन पूछा है ना आपसे, तो यू डोंट ओनली स्टॉप है, यू गो टू द इकोनॉमिक इंटरनेशनल रिलेशन एरिया एज वेल. स्टोर्ड कार्बन रिलीज हो गया, तो दिस हैज़ ह्यूज रिजर्व्स ऑफ मिथेन एट्सेट्रा आर्कटिक सी में. आर्कटिक काउंसिल एट्सेट्रा हैज़ बीन बिल्ड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस आर्कटिक रीजन पॉलिटिक्स ओनली. In order to take hold of these huge reserves of carbon, fossil fuel तो खत्म हो रहा है, new reserves are coming to the limelight because of these global warming challenges. Arctic Council politics you can write. ठीक है, अब अपना जो आपको brainstorming है ना, you need to increase that. GS1 के पेपर में भी you can write about international relation implication. Flocking of these countries like China is making its claim in the Arctic region, जबकि Arctic region में open up नहीं हो रहा because of these challenges, sea level, sea melting के, sea ice melting के, amplification of global warming, disruption of biodiversity and food chains. Future projections that we have talked about already, and this is the same thing which is again corroborated by NASA as well. Positive feedback mechanism we have addressed.